This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Monday, January 26th, 2026. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
Another shooting death of a Minneapolis protester by federal law enforcement caught on video has local officials and the Trump administration blaming each other. I'm John Stolnis in Washington.
A widespread winter storm takes hold in America.
This morning, our flight was canceled.
I'm Clayton Neville.
President Donald Trump is threatening to impose a 100% tariff on goods imported from Canada. Donna Warder, Washington.
On Wall Street, stocks are coming off a losing week, and Americans are bracing for higher home heating costs. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
Vice President Vance is urging anti-abortion activists to celebrate progress in limiting the procedure. Sagar Magani, Washington.
A plane crash in Bangor, Maine, and police investigating the death of a former football player in Los Angeles. All ahead on America in the Morning. Cell phone video over the weekend captured Border Patrol officers shooting 37-year-old Alex Pretti on the streets of Minneapolis, the armed man protesting ICE's presence by recording their actions on his cell phone. John Stolnis with reaction from Washington.
The gunshots ring out as more than half a dozen ICE and Border Patrol agents wrestled Pretti to the ground. Eyewitness video shows Pretti, who had a license to carry a concealed firearm, having his gun removed from his holster by one of the officers shortly before shots rang out, killing him. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem on Fox News.
I can't speak to every single thing that those officers thought, but this happened in seconds. They clearly feared for their lives and took action to defend themselves and the people around them.
Trump officials initially claimed Pretti brandished his weapon and intended to harm ICE officers there. Critics claim the videos show no such thing. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz continuing his call for all federal immigration enforcement officers to leave his state in the wake of another shooting death.
What do we need to do to get these federal agents out of our state? You thought fear, violence, and chaos is what you wanted from us, and you clearly underestimated the people of this state and nation.
Some Republicans are calling for a deeper investigation into the Pretti shooting, including House Homeland Security Committee Chairman Andrew Garbarino. Republican Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt tells NBC's Meet the Press it's hard to understand what the Trump administration is trying to achieve.
Nobody likes feds coming into their state. And so what's the goal right now? Is it to deport every single non-U.S. citizen? I don't think that's what Americans want.
With a partial government shutdown looming at the end of the week, Senate Democrats, like Minnesota's Amy Klobuchar here on NBC's Meet the Press, says she will not vote for any DHS funding bill unless it contains serious changes to ICE and immigration enforcement policies.
We have a bill about funding them, giving them more money. I'm not voting for that, and I didn't vote for tripling their budget over the summer.
And Minneapolis Sheriff Brian O'Hara on CBS's Face the Nation says Minneapolis residents show no signs of ending their protests.
People have had enough.
John Stolnis, Washington.
Half of all American states have issued emergency declarations as a massive winter blast is bringing dangerous conditions from New Mexico to New England, where some in the Northeast received 2 feet of snow and a number of southern states are iced over. More on the weekend storm from correspondent Clayton Neville.
Parts of the southern states iced over as a late January week begins. Some who aren't familiar with the concept of a snowplow are being forced to dig out. And kiddos with little sledding experience getting weekend lessons in places like Texas and Louisiana.
We go down the stairs, not with our feet on the sled, and then the ice just takes us wherever it wants to go. In Baltimore, Maryland drivers asked to stay off the roads, but some essential workers aren't able to do that.
People who need to work, I pray for, because especially our service workers, firemen, ambulance, doctors. We're going to need them definitely in this time.
This couple spoke with Fox News in Baltimore.
I am worried, though, about the homeless people here and the unhoused, and I really hope that they can find a safe place somewhere warm tonight. Roughly 180 million people were under weekend winter alerts, with 23 states from the south to the northeast under some sort of state of emergency. The deaths of 2 men from Caddo Parish, Louisiana, being blamed on the storm after they reportedly died from hypothermia. A third person was found dead in Austin, Texas. Governor Greg Abbott says the state's working to make roads safer to travel.
but driving at all is strongly discouraged.
The roadways and all the affected areas are being layered with elements that will help ensure that we can prevent as much freezing as possible, make driving on them as safe as possible, knowing full well we will not be able to fully achieve that.
The National Weather Service office in Boston has increased the city's snow forecast to more than 2 feet. More than 1 million customers are without power in areas impacted by the storm. Many of those are isolated outages from ice on power lines or accidents caused by ice. Officials in Texas say the power grid is holding up. Meanwhile, at the airports, a headache for travelers. This man spoke with 10 News in Miami.
When we came into port this morning, our flight was canceled, so we shifted to an earlier one. You go like, oh, now I get another day or 2 or 3 in Miami.
Tens of thousands of flights were canceled over the weekend, and the cancellations are piling up already today. But aside from challenges on the road and in the sky, the bitter cold is impacting a large swath of the country, with wind chills as low as -20 and -30 in some spots, and actual temps 10 to 40 degrees below average. In Dallas, I'm Clayton Neville.
The top stories of the day are sponsored by Sleep Number. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, the more you buy, the more you save on beds, bases, and more. Limited time, only at Sleep Number or sleepnumber.com. Canada's trade deal with China not sitting well with President Trump. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. Back now on America in the Morning with a follow-up to the weekend storm. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rendy.
The storm that impacted a large part of the country and left a trail of destruction and disruption will be exiting the northeast coast this morning. The additional snow totals could reach up to 6 inches in parts of coastal New England before it finally does move off to the northeast. Travel impacts from the storm will remain widespread through the northeast, mid-Atlantic, and then southwestward through parts of the southeast into the Plains states. Part of the challenge following this storm is that it will remain very cold through these same areas. Even with some sunshine returning, highs from Oklahoma into Texas will be in the 20s and 30s, and that will extend through the Tennessee Valley into the Middle Atlantic. Farther north, it will be even colder with single-digit highs through portions of North Dakota into Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Indiana, and even western Ohio, with widespread teens through the rest of the Great Lakes into the northeast. This colder air will lead to another round of lake effect snow, where some locations in parts of Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, and New York could see another 6 inches or more in some of the heavier bands. There'll be some moderation in temperatures through the western plains states from Montana into Nebraska and Colorado, with highs moving into the 30s and 40s. In some places, that's a 30-degree jump from yesterday. We're otherwise looking at quiet weather generally across the nation. There'll be a few showers across central and southern Florida as the cold front moves on through. South of that front, it will be warmer, with South Florida reaching into the 80s. That's the weather across America. Indianapolis, Indiana will be frigid today despite some sunshine with a high of just 6. Meanwhile, West Palm Beach, Florida will have clouds, sun, and an afternoon shower with a high of 85. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Remember to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. More trouble could be on the horizon as President Trump is threatening 100% tariffs on goods from Canada over their recent trade deal with China. Details from correspondent Donna Warder.
President Donald Trump is threatening to impose a 100% tariff on goods imported from Canada if it goes ahead with its China trade deal. Trump said on a social media post Saturday that if Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney thinks he is going to make Canada a drop-off port for China to send goods and products into the United States, he is sorely mistaken. Initially, Trump said that it was a good thing for Carney to sign a trade deal. Carney's office did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Recently, there's been a war of words between Trump and Carney. At the World Economic Forum this week, Trump said that Canada lives because of the United States. Carney shot back, saying Canada can be an example that the world does not have to bend toward autocratic tendencies. Donna Warder, Washington.
The FAA is reporting that a private jet carrying 8 people crashed on takeoff from Bangor, Maine, Sunday evening. The plane is a Bombardier Challenger 650 business jet. A winter storm warning was in effect at the time of takeoff as snow was just starting to fall and visibility dropping. CNN is reporting the plane is registered to a company based in Houston, Texas. Weekend power outages spike energy cost increases for consumers. That's when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Here's the Monday Business Report on America in the Morning with CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after a losing week last week for stocks. It's the second losing week in a row for the S&P 500 index.
The market as a whole has been stuck. Okay, we were down about 1/3% in the S&P this week. It feels like it was a non-event. We're up 1.7 from the lows the other day. Sounds great, like we avoided this divot. On the other hand, we're at the levels we were at in late October.
That's CNBC's Mike Santoli. Airlines with thousands of cancellations and delays now because of severe winter weather that began its sweep across nearly 24 states several days ago. Flight schedules could take a week to get back to normal, but the airlines may not take a big hit financially with this one.
The most impactful storms, the ones that really hit the bottom line for airlines, are those that are unannounced and are open-ended. They're out ahead of this as much as possible. This is a fast-moving storm. Even though it's big, it's fast-moving, and the airlines have been warning passengers for some time.
CNBC's Phil LeBeau. Power outages front and center for power companies working to get customers back up and running. Americans are bracing for higher heating bills. Natural gas soared last week heading into the severe weather.
When you have a trigger like a big storm that is going to lift demand and potentially we expect is going to disrupt supply as well because it freezes the wells, it freezes, we think, more than 10% of U.S. natural gas production.
Okay, I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
About 10% you think of natural gas could be too frozen to use? I mean, the equipment.
Well, the gas itself.
That's Goldman Sachs' Samantha Dart on CNBC with CNBC's Brian Sullivan. Gold and silver hit new all-time highs last Friday, with silver topping $100 an ounce for the first time. Manulife's John Hancock's Matt Miskin tells CNBC he thinks metals might have already run up.
You know, in the metals right now, one of the other big lessons we're trying to, instill in investors is to not get the case of the FOMO. So fear of missing out right now is what we're seeing in the metals. I'm cautious there. I think that actually trimming into strength, it might be a better idea.
Consumers feeling better about their finances and the future. In the new University of Michigan January survey, the best numbers since last summer.
56.4 is our headline. We're expecting 54, a big beat. This will be the best level since August of last year.
CNBC's Rick Santelli. The meaty part of earnings season is upon us. About 20% of the S&P 500 companies will report results this week, including 4 Magnificent 7 stocks: Microsoft, Meta, Tesla, and Apple. On today's watch list, the IRS has opened tax filing season. People who want their refunds fast are filing electronically.
CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. When we return on America in the Morning, the stabbing death of a former pro football player. After these messages. Police in Los Angeles are investigating after a former professional football player was found stabbed to death in a homeless encampment. Correspondent Gethin Coolball reports.
A medical examiner says former Philadelphia Eagles defensive lineman Kevin Johnson has died from blunt head trauma and stab wounds at a homeless encampment. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner says the 55-year-old Johnson was pronounced dead after being found unconscious. His death was ruled a homicide and is being investigated. Johnson was a 4th-round draft pick by New England in 1993. He also spent time with Oakland. Johnson had 7 career sacks and returned a fumble for a touchdown over 38 career games. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
The annual Anti-Abortion March for Life was held in the nation's capital, this year highlighted by a speech from Vice President J.D. Vance. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports.
Vice President Vance is urging anti-abortion activists to celebrate progress in limiting the procedure.
The mark of barbarism is that we treat babies like inconveniences to be discarded rather than the blessings to cherish that they are.
At the annual March for Life here in Washington,
I know that there is still much road ahead to travel together. Take heart in how far we've come.
Vance was the keynote speaker in person after President Trump appeared via video message.
We have made unprecedented strides to protect innocent life and support the institution of the family.
Pointing to the 2022 Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade, Vance noted he told marchers last year he wants more babies born in the U.S. He and his wife announced this week they're expecting their fourth child.
So let the record show you have a vice president who practices what he preaches.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
America in the Morning for Monday, January 26th, 2026 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
A widespread winter blast wreaking havoc on air travel in America. I'm Clayton Neville.
Michael Pretti is looking for answers after his 37-year-old son was shot and killed in Minneapolis. I'm Donna Warder.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is slamming President Trump's remarks on NATO troops. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Another government shutdown is looming, and both parties don't see eye to eye. I'm Katie Clark with details.
Washington, D.C.'s water utility is dealing with a massive sewage spill in Maryland. Jennifer King, Washington.
Winter storms snowed in the box office this weekend. I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. We're back on America in the Morning with AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy. And today's forecast, Matt?
The storm that impacted a large part of the country, causing major disruptions through the central and southern plains eastward through a good portion of the eastern states, will be exiting the northeast coast today. We'll have additional snow totals still reaching up to 6 inches in parts of coastal New England before it finally does shift off to the northeast. Travel impacts from the storm will remain widespread throughout the northeast, mid-Atlantic, and then southwestward through the southeast into the plain states. Part of the challenge following this storm is that it is going to remain very cold through these areas. Highs will only be in the 20s and 30s in parts of Oklahoma into Texas, even with the return of some sunshine, and that will extend into the Tennessee Valley and Middle Atlantic. Farther north, it's going to be even colder with single-digit highs through portions of North Dakota into Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois, as well as parts of Indiana and Ohio, and widespread teens through the rest of the Great Lakes into the northeast. And this colder air is going to lead to another round of lake effect snow, where some locations in parts of Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, and New York could see another 6 inches or more in some of the heavier bands. There will be some improvement in temperatures across the western plains states from Montana into Nebraska and Colorado. Highs will be moving into the 30s and 40s, and in some places, that's a 30-degree jump from yesterday. We're otherwise looking at quiet weather generally across the rest of the nation. There will be a few showers across central and southern Florida as the cold front moves through. South of that front, there will be temperatures reaching into the 80s. And in the west, it'll also be a nice weather day with high pressure in place. We have some low clouds and fog to start, but then sunshine should return. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist Matt Rindy.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. The winter storm that wreaked havoc on 35 states and impacted well over 200 million Americans is also causing air travel trouble, both domestic and international. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports.
Tens of thousands of flights were canceled over the weekend as bitter cold temperatures, wind, and ice take hold across dozens of states. DFW Airport and Love Field Airport in the Dallas area led the country in flight cancellations over the weekend, and the fallout from the winter blast was widespread.
It is what it is. We just handle it as we go.
These travelers spoke with 10 News in Miami.
Flight coming to here is coming from Baltimore, so we're wondering if it's going to make it or not.
Major airlines issued travel waivers, and passengers are strongly advised to rebook or confirm their flight status via airline apps before leaving home. More delays and cancellations expected as the winter weather persists early this week. The storm's impacting air travel hubs not only in Texas, but in St. Louis, Nashville, Charlotte, Atlanta, D.C., and New York. And the roads are treacherous in spots, too. Governor Greg Abbott in Texas says road crews are working around the clock.
If you see a road plow, just be very conscious of it. Travel slowly and cautiously around it, and do not interfere with what it's doing.
The power grid in Texas is holding up, according to the CEO of the state's Electric Reliability Council, Pablo Vegas.
If you see power lines, stay away from them. If you have outages in your home or your business, reach out to your local utility. They're going to be the best position to be able to manage the repairs and restore restore power quickly.
About 1 million power outages have been reported nationwide as ice builds up on power lines, and some ice-related accidents lead to crashes, ultimately knocking down power poles. School and work for many in the South are canceled through midweek. I'm Clayton Neville.
It's being estimated that it could take as long as another 7 days before airline flights are back to normal. Over 3,000 flights were canceled before 5 a.m. today nationwide, with the bulk of the cancellations at airports in Boston, New York, Newark, Reagan National in Washington, D.C., Charlotte, and Dallas. Over 400 American Airlines and JetBlue flights, along with more than 300 Delta and Southwest airline flights, have been canceled today alone. Despite wind chills below zero, protesters are gathering in Minneapolis following the death of Alex Pretti while being subdued by members of immigration. As correspondent Donna Warder reports, the father of Pretti is searching for answers after his son is killed during a protest against ICE, and additional videos being released of the confrontation are raising more questions.
This individual showed up to impede a law enforcement operation and assaulted our officers. They responded according to their training and took action to defend the officer's life and those of the public around him.
Michael Pretti is looking for answers after his 37-year-old son, Alex Pretti, was shot and killed in Minneapolis by a U.S. Border Patrol agent on Saturday.
I can't get any information from anybody. The police, they call Border Patrol. Border Patrol's closed. The hospitals won't answer any questions.
Alex Pretti was an ICU nurse who was protesting President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown.
He thought it was terrible. Kidnapping children, just grabbing people off the street.
Videos from bystanders show Pretti with a phone in his hand. None appear to show him with a visible weapon.
He cared about people deeply, and he was very upset with what was happening in Minneapolis and throughout the United States with ICE, as millions of other people are upset.
Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem accused Pretti of showing up to impede a law enforcement operation.
I don't know of any peaceful protester that shows up with a gun and ammunition rather than a sign. This is a violent riot when you have someone showing up with weapons and are using them to assault law enforcement officers.
And she questioned why he was armed.
We had this discussion with him 2 weeks ago or so, that go ahead and protest, but do not engage, do not do anything stupid, basically. He wouldn't. And he said he knows that. He knew that.
I'm Donna Warder.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has responded harshly to President Trump downplaying NATO actions in Afghanistan. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer is slamming President Trump's remarks on NATO troops who served in Afghanistan after 9/11.
I will never forget their courage, their bravery, and the sacrifice that they made for their country. There are many also who were injured, some with life-changing injuries. And so I consider President Trump's remarks to to be insulting and frankly appalling.
The president said America's relationship with NATO is a one-way street.
I know we'd be there for them. I don't know that they'd be there for us.
And got immediate pushback from NATO Chief Mark Rutte, who noted how many Allied troops served in Afghanistan.
For every 2 Americans who paid the ultimate price, there was 1 soldier from another NATO country who did not come back to his family.
Still, in a Fox News interview, the president downplayed NATO's actions in Afghanistan, saying Allied troops stayed a little back, a little off the front lines. Starmer calls the remarks insulting and appalling. NATO triggered its mutual defense clause for the first and only time after 9/11, with allied nations sending thousands of troops to fight alongside Americans. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
President Trump, following the outrage from the UK, Italy, and other NATO nations, has taken a more conciliatory tone, writing on Truth Social, quote, "The great and brave soldiers of the United Kingdom will always be with the United States. It's a bond too strong to ever be broken. The UK military, with tremendous heart and soul, is second to none, except for the USA. We love you and always will," end quote. The U.S. government's set to run out of money again. That's when America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. The death toll is rising in the Philippines after a ferry sank during the night. The passenger and cargo ship was carrying more than 350 people when it encountered problems and began taking on water in rough seas. As many as 100 people are missing as searchers are still looking for survivors. Philippine authorities report more than 200 people have been rescued. Shifting gears, the government is set to run out of money again by the end of the week. And while some appropriations have been voted on and cleared, a partial shutdown is still likely, mainly due to funding for Homeland Security. Katie Clark reports.
The United States government is facing a partial shutdown later this week as Democrats and Republicans go head-to-head before the vote. The U.S. government is funded through this Friday. The bill is a $1.2 trillion funding package and will keep the government open. Democratic senators are against voting for the package, which includes funding the Department of Homeland Security and Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Democrats want to take away or eliminate funding for those agencies due to recent high-profile shootings by ICE agents to protesters, 2 of whom were shot to death in the Minneapolis area. Democrat Senator Amy Klobuchar on Meet the Press.
The point here is our Republican colleagues have to stand up and stop this. And no, I am not voting for this funding.
Democrat Senator Ruben Gallego on CNN discussing ICE.
We want a security force that is focused on targeting and deporting criminals. What they're doing right now is none of that. What they're doing right now is actually suppressing U.S. citizens.
Republican Representative Buddy Carter on Fox News.
If we do have another shutdown, this will be Schumer shutdown number 2, part 2.
Republican Representative Andy Ogles on Fox News.
The Democrats want to sabotage the federal government, sabotage ICE, and have another shutdown. I think that just helps us in the midterm. So this is a bluff.
The Republicans cannot pass a bill without support from Democrats. I'm Katie Clark.
Columbia University has chosen Jennifer Menachem, the chancellor of the University of Wisconsin-Madison, as its next president. Dr. Menachem is a legal scholar who served as the dean of the University of California, Los Angeles School of Law before arriving at Wisconsin in 2022. Menachem comes to the New York City Ivy League school, which has dealt with uprisings among students over anti-Israel protests and violence on campus, and funding cuts from the Trump administration, which led to the former chancellor to resign, and 2 other interim leaders who followed in the past 2 years. America in the Morning continues. The Arctic cold blast is only making matters worse as crews try to contain a massive sewage spill near Washington, D.C. Correspondent Jennifer King reports.
Washington, D.C.'s water utility is dealing with a massive sewage spill in Maryland near the Clara Barton Parkway. Stinky gray wastewater is flowing into the Potomac River after part of a 72-inch sewer pipe collapsed. People are being asked to stay out of the area. Witnesses describe a horrific smell as sewage bursts up like a 2 to 3 foot geyser out of the ground.
So you can just see the concentration of sewage is really high.
Potomac River keeper Dean Najix.
Going into the river, that's an extreme low flow right now.
Crews are setting up pumps to divert sewage into the historic C&O Canal, where it can be rerouted back into the sewer system. The utility says the spill downstream of the city's intake pipes is not a threat to public drinking water. The Potomac Interceptor was built in the 1960s. The sewage pipe carries waste from parts of Maryland and Virginia to the Blue Plains treatment plant. A forecast of extreme cold is expected to complicate repair efforts. Jennifer King, Washington.
The new old tech guy, Chuck Palm, reports on a new poll, AI in the workplace.
The survey, run late October to mid-November 2025, with more than 22,000 working adults and a tight margin of error at plus or minus 1 point. The key takeaway is that 12% of the U.S. workforce now uses AI tools every single day on the job. Roughly 1 in 4 use it at least a few times a week, and nearly half tap into it at least occasionally throughout the year. That's a big jump from just a couple of years back when only 1 in 5 reported using it at all. Generative AI tools like OpenAI's ChatGPT and Google's Gemini that helps you draft emails and write code, summarize reports, and generate images or answer complex questions might have something to do with it. According to AP, adoption is highest in the white-collar and tech-heavy fields, which is no surprise, is around 6 in 10 tech workers that use AI frequently, with 3 in 10 doing it daily. One example has a 70-year-old Home Depot associate in Florida pulling up AI Assistant on his phone every hour to field customer questions about electrical supplies that he hasn't yet memorized. He believes his job would suffer without it. On the big picture, economists are split on whether this drives real productivity or risks jobs. For more, visit thenewoldtechguy.com. I'm Chuck Palm.
We have John Stolnis in with sports this Monday.
They're back. 6-time Super Bowl winners, the New England Patriots, are back in the big game once again for the first time since Tom Brady left the team after winning Super Bowl 53. This time, second-year quarterback Drake May, fresh off an MVP-caliber season, threw for a season-low 86 yards but rode his defense in snowy Denver to a 10-7 win.
Rushing 5. This is a deep throw, and it is picked off. Intercepted. Waiting for it was Gonzalez.
Sound courtesy of CBS Sports. That interception by Christian Gonzalez thwarting a last-ditch effort by Broncos backup quarterback Jarrett Stidham, pressed into duty after starter Bo Nix broke his ankle at the end of last week's victory over Buffalo. The Patriots will take on the Seattle Seahawks, who outlasted the Los Angeles Rams 31-27 in an electrifying NFC Championship game, led by quarterback Sam Darnold, who threw for 3 touchdowns. This sets up a rematch of Super Bowl 49 11 years ago. Russell Wilson versus Tom Brady. You remember Malcolm Butler's legendary interception as Seattle sat on the 1-yard line, driving for the go-ahead score in the waning seconds. The Seahawks are playing in their 4th Super Bowl. Their lone victory came in Super Bowl 48. And that's your look at sports.
Coming up on America in the Morning, weather apps are on our radar after these messages. We all likely have one on our smartphones, and with bone-chilling weather, snow, and ice, they probably got a lot of use. But questions remain as to how accurate are weather apps. Correspondent Kiki Sedaris reports.
That snowflake on your weather app might be lying to you. Meteorologists say that when storms get dangerous, snow, sleet, ice, freezing rain, weather apps can really struggle because storms with a mix of heavy snow and treacherous ice combined with sub-zero temperatures just don't fit into one cute icon or a single snowfall number. Apps are great for nice, boring days, but during big winter storms like the one blowing through the US, Here's the problem. A lot of apps take raw computer model data and turn it into very specific looking numbers, even when there's a ton of uncertainty. Apps aren't human. They don't understand why weather happens, and that's where human meteorologists come in. Humans look at moisture, dry air, timing, and adjust forecasts instead of just copy-pasting model numbers. That's why experts say your most reliable forecast during storms like this is still local TV meteorologists and local National Weather Service offices. And one more thing, be careful on social media. Dramatic maps spread fast, even when they're wrong. So yes, check your weather app, but when the storm hits, trust the humans first.
Correspondent Kiki Sadiris. The nationwide winter weather played a factor at the box office with slow ticket sales. Entertainment reporter Kevin Carr explains.
James Cameron's Avatar: Fire and Ash was finally dethroned as the king of the box office this weekend.
If you are innocent, prove it.
Mercy, starring Chris Pratt as a man who has 90 minutes to prove his innocence, took the crown with a lower than expected $11 million.
Get me out of this chair.
Overall box office was down, a victim of the massive storm that shut down 400 movie theaters and impacted half the nation. The overall gross for releases this weekend was only $58 million, making it the slowest for this frame since the pandemic. Aside from that, you'd have to go back more than 30 years for a lower overall gross for the weekend after MLK's birthday.
You go as far and as fast as you can.
Avatar settled for second place with $7 million, inching towards $400 million domestic.
It's the fuzz!
Toot toot. Pushing past $400 million was third place finisher Zootopia 2 with $5.7 million.
Hops and Wild. Dream team.
Currently at $1.7 billion worldwide, the sequel has become Hollywood's highest grossing animated film of all time.
She's gonna live with us.
Andrew, I told you that. She'd be part of the family.
Paul Feig's thriller The Housemaid stayed in fourth place with $4.2 million.
This is a memorial to the dead.
And after a soft opening week, 28 years later, The Bone Temple plummeted more than 70% to $3.6 million, which was just good enough for fifth place. I'm Kevin Carr.
America in the Morning for Monday, January 26th, 2026 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.